Hello and welcome on the next session. In previous sessions, they were all about continuous integration and keeping stuff working. Zbigniew is going to explain how to, on the opposite side, how to break a lot of packages.
So thank you for coming at this late hour. I admire you all. My train is leaving on Tuesday, so it's easy for me. And the lobby is now full of people waiting for a taxi. So I'm going to talk about some work I did in Fedora over the last few months that touched about 900 packages and broke, well, some of them, but at least I hope not permanently. So yesterday there was this great lightning talk from Patrick Victorine about the transition to Python 3, and that that Python 2 is going away, and we need to move to Python 3, and we need to update the code to run under Python 3. And kind of like a small step in this way is the updating of packaging in Fedora. So the short version is that right, packages used to be called Python something, and this was the Python 2 version. And then Python 3 came along, and now we need to update package names. Actually, this effort has been going on for a while, and by using proven packager privileges and a bit of scripting and ignoring people's complaints, I was able to kind of accelerate the process. So, well, why do we need to do that? So we had packages that were named very inconsistently. So for example, there's, well, stuff like Python dash whatever name, sometimes whatever name dash Python, and then we had packages like NumPy, which didn't have the Python string at all in the name. And then Python 3 came along, and we had to add the Python 3 prefix or suffix. There were various options. So current state is that with this cleanup that I'm talking about, almost all Python 2 packages have the Python 2 prefix, which is nice and clean. And you know, if you like nice listings from DNF, this works nicely. It also works nicely if you want to say DNF install whatever, because you don't have to think what the package name will be. For some provides magic, Python foo is an alias, and so while the Python 2 packages are now kind of less messy than they used to be, Python 3 packages are still quite messy, and there's a lot of packages that have a Python 3 suffix in their name. So at some point we want this to be nice and uniform and have Python 2 dash whatever and Python 3 dash whatever. And the long-term plan is that if you say DNF install Python dash foo, you'll get the Python 3 version at some point. So for now, you'll get the Python 2 version, but at some point we will switch. And the switch is done using Python provides macro. And so this means that the definition of this macro will be changed, and all the packages will be rebuilt in a mass rebuild without actually changing the spec files. And then after that, users will suddenly get a different version of Python by default. So this new naming scheme was turned into a law in Fedora, and it was discussed for a while, and then it became a guideline in 2016, May 2016, and of course, some packagers immediately updated their package names, but this is a very slow process, and if you actually want this to happen, well, you need to push stuff along. So there's this mass change process that I assume everybody here knows, but the way it works is that you basically find something that is uncontroversial, and you need to make sure that actually other people think the same thing. It's not just in your head, so you write to Fedora Devo, discuss, propose, And when this is agreed, prepare an announcement email, send it out to packagers, and wait a while. Some people will say that they don't want this. Some people will say that, well, don't touch my package, and so on. So they need a bit of time, and then actually just do it and rebuild all packages, and well, it's done, right? So this last point, applying patches. So like the old way was to open bugs in Bugzilla and then say, please, maintainer, please update your package to follow this new guideline. And then maybe you would attach a patch. And I think this is like the worst option because, well, first of all, it is a lot of work for no gain whatsoever. Then all the maintainers have to look at the bugs and receive mail and so on and so on. And basically and it of course takes a very long time to actually be implemented. And the only good thing about that is that maintainers can at any point in time just say no by doing nothing and are not bothered, right? But apart from that, it's, I mean, it's huge overhead and slow. So so I went for the option of just using proven packager privileges and doing it directly. But now we have this cool new feature in Pagure that we can Pagure in Pager to open pull requests, and actually pull requests have started appearing. I myself, I don't know, received maybe 10 already, and I have to say that it's very convenient. I mean, the review is nice. You click on merge, it's done. Much nicer than a patch in Bugzilla, which is annoying to work with. But it has the disadvantage that, well, it still requires human action. So I think it's good for stuff that does not require quick changes, and it's good for stuff that is actually more complicated. But I don't know. Of the few pull requests I have opened myself, maybe 50% have been merged and 50% have not been responded to. So, okay, so let's look at some changes to spec files that were necessary. So I should say that this was all done by a script. So if some changes that I will be showing in a moment don't seem too smart, it's, well, because there's no intelligence behind them, right? Okay, so the first example. It's a nice, simple package. It already had a binary package with the Python 2-name. So the only thing is to rename it. And this I mean, it's all very simple. Find all the places where this thing occurs in the spec file under this name or any other name that is equivalent, which can be quite problematic. But in this case, it's simple. Rename it here in the file section. Bump the release version. Add a changelog entry in the end. So the encoding thing is actually not, it's Firefox defaulting to Western encoding for files that are local. And I try to teach Firefox not to do that because it doesn't make any sense. And actually, so, right, I mean, if I do this, okay. But it's not HTML, it's okay, it is HTML. Okay, so it's my fault. But
that's not relevant.
right. I mean, no, it's correct in the real thing anyway. Right. So okay. So this is the simple case, and now the fun begins when we have a more complicated case where there was no, there was just the main package and So we have source RPM called @pi, and it generates an @pi binary RPM, and we want to get rid of that and replace it with a Python 2-@pi binary RPM. And so another thing that happened is that this is lowercase, right? I mean, some people disagree with that. I like the lowercase names, and the official guidelines are kind of like, yeah, lowercase is better. So kind of piggybacking on this Python 2 renaming, I also renamed a lot of packages to lowercase. So there's a nice trick that I think is very useful to avoid repeating the description all the time. Turn this description string into a macro, and then reuse it for description, and reuse it for description of the new package. And if there's a Python 3 package, subpackage, then also reuse it there.
You have the Python 2 subpackage in lowercase and the Python 3 one is still in mixed case.
Yes, yes, that's a very good point. And I mean, there's also stuff in this spec file, like this thing. I would like to, I mean, my instinct is to fix that. And then, let's see. Well, okay, maybe not this one, but other packages have like lots of build root invocations and group and clean section and def after and all this stuff that I would like to just remove. But I mean, if you decide to start fixing things, then chances are you will spend the next year fixing stuff. And I think it's actually better to do one step, finish that, and go to the next step. Because I mean, you know, many of those packages, many of them haven't been touched in a while, and then you start, you know, finding stuff to fix. And
yeah, but that's the reason why I think that this does not make sense to do the lowercase in here, because I mean, it will be consistent with the Python 3 subpackage, and I guess it will be the case in almost all the packages that are mixed case.
yeah, it's ugly. I agree. So there will be another sweep at some point to rename the Python 3 subpackages. Yeah, well, if I do it, it will be to lowercase. If somebody else, then it will be to rename them both to uppercase. I don't know. But, I mean, it's like the question that was asked most often by people who responded to my changing their packages and then being surprised. But I always say the same thing. I mean, you have to put the line somewhere else. Yeah. Right. So that's the description. And the tricky part here is that, that there is some requires. And this requires should be moved to, from the main package to the new binary package. So, and this goes from here to here. And another thing to notice is that obsoletes for the old name need to be provided and provide, so that when you upgrade, you get the new package and the old package is removed. And the Python provide macro gives us the Python 2-@p name and Python-@p. So, like in this previous case, I didn't have to add a provides and obsolete for this name here because it comes from the Python provide macro. So, okay, that's case 2. And those two cases covered maybe like 800 packages, so quite a lot. But then there are more complicated packages. So, PyStash, bump the release, take the requires, and then here we have a case where requires are under conditional. And so in the beginning I thought that, well, this is just too complicated to do by a script. But then I decided to walk over the spec file line by line, find any lines that have an ending, and find the matching if, and then move the whole block, well, duplicate the whole block, strip the whole block, right? Keep the build requires and move the requires down. And actually, you can see that there's an error in the original package here because this requires for Python 3 applies to the Python 2 package, right? But I mean, as I said, the script is stupid, and of course it just moves the where did it go here? It moves the requires to this place, and I mean, if a human doesn't look at this, it won't be noticed, right? Actually, this is something that could be probably tested somehow, but well, separate story. And those two things cover like 880 packages out of the 926 that were to be renamed. Right, the results, thanks to the wonderful porting DB, can be displayed in a nice way. The mustard part is the packages that have the subject of the stock, and this is the first two cases, and then this is the last case, and the remaining part is like most of it is actually packages that have been already updated but don't build, and so I don't know while doing this part I fixed maybe 20 or 30 fails to build from source packages, and then but not all of them, and then a bunch are still remaining, and it's like something that was already mentioned today, how to get rid of the old packages, right? I mean, they don't even build, and they haven't been building, like, for example, a whole group of Django packages that they don't build, and they're probably completely useless, and they haven't been updated in a long while, and they're around, and will be around, I don't know. Okay, so like the number of packages is important. Once it's scripted, it doesn't really matter. Well, I got things wrong, and I'll be talking about this in a moment. And if stuff is wrong in the packages, this is like the main time drain. So I'll be making a quiz. Can you read that? Can somebody tell me what is wrong here? So there's something wrong with the provides, but what exactly? Okay, why is it wrong?
It should be Python to decrypt.
Well, this is the name, and this was Python, so the package name was decrypt-python.
Provided only with the ISA and not with us.
Yeah, right. So this is a binary package, right? You can see that it has some SO files, and the provides is with the arch suffix, but I'm missing the provides without the arch suffix. So if I say bcrypt dnf install bcrypt dash python, it fails. So no good. Okay, so what about this version? Yes. And what about this version? Yeah, exactly. So this line is wrong because it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't do anything. Okay. So this is the version that is kind of correct. Well, it's correct. Okay. So another one, but I need somebody else to answer. This one is tricky. Yeah, so this no arch is below those lines, and they get screwed up. They become archful because everything is evaluated in order. So this part needs to move here. Yes. So okay. So the renaming is done in 93% currently, and I'm still working on some packages like the kernel. Actually, I think there is a pull request for the kernel. And I hope to kind of get them all finished. And what has started is the actually making use of this. So one of the pull requests that I got recently was to change all the requires and build requires to use the new names, which I think is nice. So in this graph here, this middle part is it's called ambiguous requires, and this is the part that this pull request is fixing. And you can see, well, that it started falling off here, and it still needs a bit of time to go down to 0. And it will be like a live comparison if pull requests are better than just doing it forcefully. And another thing that also started happening is to actually get rid of all this and generate the to generate the requires from the information provided by setup.py. So this is a change proposed for Fedora 28 by Neil Gompa and Igor Gnatenko, and they just remove all of that, generate the same information from using some macro and a magic generator based on the requires.txt contents. And here I included an RPM call, and you can see that, well, this and this is well, the same thing, right? But just in a different syntax. So actually, this whole Python package renaming will only matter for DNF install and stuff like that. Actually, it won't matter that much for actual use of the packages and for dependencies between the packages. And this is everything. One question?
One question, yeah.
No, I have a question. Could this program,
Yes.
we are not rebuilding the packages after the requests are merged, so we have no idea how the graph actually will look like after the master rebuild.
That's true.
If I just go down, or if I don't.
Yeah, that's a very good point.